on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of
Hey!
Carbonite Bounty BS. The wonders of live TV, guys. The wonders, the wonders. But yeah, I mean, this is our episode 6, kind of mid-season reaction to Andor, man. And what can we say? I mean, exciting things and really a great series. Before we even dump into that, let's let our guy DP let you guys know where to find you.
Yeah, let's get the house cleaning out the way and everything to talk about some good stuff. Great thumbnail, by the way, there, Hitch. Great thumbnail.
Yeah, beautiful. The eye and center stage.
Oh
Wonderful.
man, that was awesome.
I had a
So
vision.
yeah,
and
make
it was
sure
the
that you
eye.
guys are subscribing to our site, and to our YouTube channel here, Make sure that you are going to our website, nerdcyclopedia.com, and getting on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and like I said, coming soon, TikTok. We will be dancing live for you. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway. Make sure that if you guys are watching us right now on YouTube and also on Facebook, hitting that subscribe button, also hitting that notification button. So anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. If you are on Facebook, join our Carbonite Bounty BS, the Star Wars group. We got like some great feedback and everything. Tom Hastings is always on point with the memes and everything. Charles John's always, with the good posts and stuff. So make sure that you guys are going on there, giving your feedback on Andor and all your Star Wars related material. If you are listening to us on podcast, we are on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast, we are there. So make sure that you are, doing all that and hit that subscribe button. So also leave us some feedback. Nerdcyclopedia.com. We love getting all your feedback and everything.
Appreciate that. And it's kind of funny as we talk about leading into this episode, offline, Al Kenzie's optimism for discussing this episode. So let's just let him lead with it and get his initial reaction because I know he was super excited. So we'll give you the floor and let us know what you thought about it.
This was the episode I've been waiting for the past basically 3 episodes. So this had one of my favorite moments actually, and it happened a lot during the episode, was I loved how the Empire, how its representatives just cowed down. As soon as the gun was turned on, they gave up. They did not try to defend themselves at all. They gave up. And this was from the highest command, from the commandant down to the bartenders. I mean, they just so this really tells me that the Empire, although it's mighty, doesn't really have buy-in from its people. I mean, they just don't. They would rather put their hands behind their head, lace their fingers behind their head and kneel down than try to defend the Empire.
Well, they're all getting paid, right?
Well, some of them are getting paid. These cats aren't getting paid, as we find out. But this was a great episode because we saw the heist. We saw the big robbery. And we saw it happen, and it worked, and it culminated in a really, really conflicted laser gun battle that I've been missing because so far we've had a lot of talking, a lot of development, not so much no real action. Now we see under the cloud of a ritual of the people of the planet, this whole heist is going on, and it distracts the Empire from what's really happening, which I thought was a great ploy. I mean, if you want to distract someone, throw something at them that they think is completely benign. There's nothing ominous about this. These hill people want to just watch this really beautiful celestial meteoroid shatter that happens once every 10 years, I guess. And it catches everyone off guard. And here comes this heist. And it was just a beautiful episode. Everything laid into place. I loved the way they got together. There was a lot of conflict. The previous episodes, we saw a lot of sort of conflict within the band. Maybe the drummer didn't like what the bass player was doing, and the guitar player was a little out of whack. But now we see this machine go into place, and this cause, all for the rebellion. and I thought it played out beautifully. And I love Lutheran's laugh at the end. Very, very Palpatine-y. I mean, I thought that was like a very diabolical laugh. So I wonder what his real game is. I wonder if he's really into this rebellion, or is he just seeing who comes out on top? You know, just to spin on the whole thing. Like, what's his deal?
What do you, DP?
Yeah, so I'm totally there with Ken. Ken, I didn't take it as that. I took like the elements of when Luthen was so nervous last episode. It was sort of a carryover to this episode, to where it was almost like when he heard about what the rebellion did, it was a sigh of relief that it worked. So he had to go in the back to let this big emotion out, because he's emotional like the whole time and everything. So we're seeing like the end result of, you know, well, at least this is the way I'm interpreting, not like some sort of diabolical laugh, but just him just like, whew, man.
So you're pretty sure he's still on the up and up. Like, we can really trust this guy.
I'm interpreting, yes, he's still on the up and up. That's okay. My interpretation of the thing.
All right.
But, as far as the overall episode, like I said, I'm right there with you. It was stakes, it was tension, it was everything we were building up for since the first episode, but mainly these past three, since we met like the new cast of characters and stuff. You know, we were super invested in like their plight, you know, the like their backstories and everything. You know, everybody has a variety of reasons why they're in, you know, doing this and stuff. And then we get like like you said, I think that was a great metaphor as far as the band. You know, everybody playing their different instruments, and then, you know, finally when they're coming together, they're playing actually a song, which is what this is. You know, the song of like of the song of the heist and everything. So they're doing it really well, and then of course you're going to get some conflict. You're going to get some sort of some adversarial coming along, and then we get like the shots being fired, the lieutenant and everything being found out. You know, the commander or whatever, him just being so incredulous that all this is going on. I just love his reaction to everything, because he was so pompous and so arrogant and everything. You're never going to get away with this. You're blah, 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 blah. No, you got to go. We could take your hand if we need to, you know, to accomplish our mission. We're willing to die for this, you know. So let's just get it going. And Orville, you know, that I love how the actress and the act, you know, how she just played her part as far as being scared and frightened, you know, that she had to just shake herself out of it and everything. And I love that play on you're just in the whole thing, just watching. These people are ready to die for this small part in their role to everything, and they're willing to die for it because they believe in it so much. That is just so crazy to me, you know. It's just so crazy that their hate for the Empire, hate everything that they're doing so far, is put them to this point where they're willing to die for this. That's just, I mean, you got to admire that. You got to admire the writing in an episode.
What about you, Hitch?
I thought, I mean, this really lived up to what we were looking for, like you guys said. You know, I said this plot reminded me a little bit of like the Dirty Dozen. Certainly a heist is nothing we're not familiar with, you know, given Solo and other sorts of heists in Star Wars from Rebels and such. So I like this trope, and I like that this episode is dedicated essentially to exactly the execution of the plan without much time being wasted in explaining it to you. You just kind of get it, which I like. I thought, you know, Nemec dying was pretty much preordained by the fact that he's the wide-eyed optimist.
I hated that. I didn't like that he got taken out that way, but I get the emotion part of it and the romance behind it. And
now, guys, I don't want you to think this stuff's too heavy-handed here, but the idealistic guy was crushed to death under the weight of the money.
Payroll, yeah.
the money crushed him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I listen. I'm not. It doesn't have to be super sneaky for me to like it. That's okay to be obvious. But I thought I thought the way they kind of revived him to like guide them, and it almost seemed like that stim pack was fatal to him, and he knew it when they did it. It was kind of like a real chilling situation. I thought call it a twist, but it's, I guess, not a twist when Andor kills Skeen here. This, oh, if you're trying to, backstab me, you're going to try to backstab everybody. So I better get you first. Right. Just this real, you see Andor making the calculations instantly and taking action, which we appreciate as something that Andor is able to do. We see it frequently with that character. So I really enjoyed that a lot. The whole heist, making the commander load all the crap into the thing and it killing him, like, that's hilarious. That's so funny. And you imagine his wife being like, "You better get some exercise. It wouldn't kill you to get a little exercise. You're getting a little bigger."
He expanded, right?
Yeah. Bring the breastplate stretcher. Like, you can almost imagine Robert Baratheon from Game of Thrones yelling some stuff as this guy.
Yeah.
But in their defense, I mean, they have this technological overmatch they have over the local people is pretty ridiculous. So, like, what are they going to do? It's probably should be a really easy, sleepy, lazy sort of position, which is probably why it's such a ripe target for this payroll theft that goes about as well as a payroll theft is going to go. Not everybody gets out of there, and then somebody's going to stab somebody in the back, and that's what that is. So, I liked all the characters' motivations seem to be consistent. I like that their skills seem to be consistent, and I like that not everybody made it out. So big thumbs up for me.
And you got your non-human character right at the end.
It's true,
right? You were like, "Where's all the non-humans, man?" Well, okay. So there's.
I did run my mouth about that.
Yeah, and then there's the whole
from his mouth to the mouse's ears.
I wish Mouse listened to me. Yeah, what a cheap shot. But no, I echo all the thoughts you guys have said as well. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Like, it's funny when I watched it and I watched it again. I told you guys offline. I'm like, man, like, just 15 more minutes, please. Like, they give you that like
half
right
hour.
Right, yeah, they give you that right taste, like they get you like to, like be involved, and right when you're like at that point of euphoria, they just know when to cut it off. So, I think that the way this is written, the way they end these episodes, it's always on like cliffhanger that you always wanted from other Star Wars, or not even Star Wars, really like a lot of these streaming series. Every episode here leaves you wanting more, and there's some shows, and not even some. I'd say a lot of the streaming shows I've watched you don't really have that hunger for the next episode. I mean, you want to watch the next episode to continue your story, but like the way each of these episode ends, it seems like you just want to, it's a movie. You just want to keep it going. You just want to watch all 3 hours or whatever it is, just run the show. So, I mean, hats off to them writing this show. It's really cool. As we said, the stakes are massive. And this really isn't even the rebellion yet, right? This is really an isolated attack, as they said. So these people are willing to die for a cause that they don't even know that is going to be bigger than them, as they some of them allude to. But I mean, in classic heist, we see the backstabs, as you said. That was I was waiting for that to happen. Was very shocked, how it kind of played out and how many people were lost already. So I guess in this series, Andor isn't going to have too many sidekicks, which would be cool. It's going to be it really is going to be the Andor show. So really liking that. No sidekicks tagging along, no comedic humor tagging along. It's really just a grimy story of the beginnings of the rebellion and obviously the goal, which is finding a way to damage the Empire to the most of their power. So what do you guys want to dive into first off? What's our first big topic? I mean, there's so much to discuss in this episode. So many things.
Well, you said that this might not have been the beginning, like the rebellion, like the rebellion hadn't been really happening yet. But that even that guy in the collector shop at the end said, "Hey, rebel attack on the Imperial base." Like, he said it. So
right.
Isn't it sort of understood that there's probably been attacks happening, like we already know from the the Imperial Security Bureau. They've noted these isolated attacks that are spread out all over the place. This one just got a little bit of publicity because it's on the news. So maybe this is really the beginning of where people are starting to notice. And then I also noticed that all the council members left. They left to do what? Were they going to decide what side of this coin they were going to be on? You know, because you didn't want to be in the council building and make a decision that might affect your planet, you know, the world you represent. So you might want to go into chambers and discuss, well, when the chips fall, are we on the Empire side, or are we on the rebellion side? Like, where do we stand here? Because I think council members all have to leave and kind of decide on privately what they're going to do. And that's kind of what I got from that scene. Like, Mon Mothma's up there like preaching and everyone's leaving. So they're not listening to her anymore. They're making their own decisions. Because this was a big attack. This was huge.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of one of the episodes from like, it was probably the Clone Wars where somebody was, you know, talking and everything, and then it was like murmurs and stuff all around like the chamber.
Right.
You know, it reminded me of that. I can't remember what episode it was. But yeah, I mean, once again, we're seeing like, you know, the politics involved, and like the Empire's finally seeing, okay, now this is about to be a problem. Let's gather all the resources and stuff. I want details by midnight.
Midnight. Yep.
I want details by midnight. So give me a plan of attack type of scenario and everything. So it'll be interesting to see how the one guy, I forget his name, with his mom comes back into this, and how the rest of the cast of and our new set of characters, you know, which I'm assuming we're going to see, since like, you know, T Mitch said Cassian is solo probably going to be throughout this series. I'm just guessing. So he's not going to have like a sidekick or whatever, just that one person to talk to. He's on his own all the way up until like, you know, Rogue One and everything. And I like the fact that he is interacting with different elements of, you know, the either rebellion or just like, you know, just a common folk to get to his point. And we're seeing more of his how his character is, especially in his taken out of what's his name? The what is his name?
Skeen?
Right.
Yeah, Skeen. Yeah, his taken out of Skeen. We're seeing like, okay, well, he has some, you know, he has morals and stuff. You know, he has a code of a set of codes with him and everything. And it was just sad to see, like, you know, half the crew just gone and everything, which we already expected, but just to seeing it play out and Skeen's treachery and everything, you know, to the whole situation, that was hyper disappointing and everything.
Mm-hmm. So do you think Cassian's not quite sold on the whole thing? He's still looking at this as a job opportunity, pretty much. You know,
Cassian is a survivor.
Right. So he's
first and foremost.
He's looking at this like, I'm going to go with whoever's going to give me the paycheck. So if I can get somewhere doing something for the Empire, I'm going to do it. If I can get somewhere working now with this rebellion, I'm going to do it. He's just like Han was. Han was just in for it for the money. I mean, that was the bottom line. And then something happened. He changed. He got something warmed in his heart, and he saw that the rebellion was really going to benefit him more in the long run than the Empire was. Cassian's going to have a turn at some point, and I think that we're going to see that. It probably might not be until season 2, but I think unless they do it in the next couple of episodes, he's still going to be working for whatever side's going to benefit him.
Well, I'm thinking Cassian, by what we see when he first met Luthen in like the first couple episodes and everything, that he already has some disdain towards like the Empire because of their arrogance and stuff. Yeah. So we're already seeing that. So I don't know if he's going to lean towards that side. I'd be kind of surprised if he does, but I don't know.
Well, he sees disdain in the rebellion too with Skeen. Right? I mean, they don't even have their players in a line yet. Just like I said, the Empire, you turn a gun on them, those guys are cowing down. They'll give you whatever you want if you've got them at gunpoint, because they just don't really have any investment or loyalty to this Empire that now is employing them. They could care less. I mean, every single one of them. And I thought that was interesting. I think that if you were, imagine if we were all down there guarding this payroll, all of a sudden there were, burglars in there. Wouldn't we somehow, hey, you know what? Maybe we should go up a level and try to protect this stuff. Wouldn't you try to save yourself?
I mean, maybe run away. But they're under gunpoint. Like, what are you supposed to do? I think you're right that the Emperor is not going to be particularly happy with any of these operators. But I mean, if someone's forcing you with an assault rifle to do something, you're sort of kind of up a creek there. I mean, I don't know how brave you expect these guys to be. This is not, the hot center of the galaxy, to quote Luke Skywalker, right? This is pretty far away from it. They're not. This is just like some repository for this ore or this money. It's just like a way station for this stuff. So there's not really anything here except this astronomical thing. That's it. It's going to turn into something else maybe, but right now it's not anything. So I think
be passive by nature.
Yeah, I mean it's not just that. It's that all right, to use the current Ukrainian war as a situation, right? So what happens when Russia mobilized, what they're doing is they're calling up the reservist troops to take the jobs that the active troops have in the reserve. Then that frees up the active troops to go to the front. So these guys are not in a front. They're not going to be the crack guys. These aren't the guys that were first in their class or, last in their class for that matter. They're just sort of average. And so there's going to be a lot of apathy there, especially when you have apathy coming from the officer corps. I mean, the officer corps is what's going to set that tone. That tone. And I'm not saying that they have to be martinets and demand, perfect discipline at all times. But frankly, the second in command in charge of security was, a double agent. So the officer corps was probably you can't give him an A, right? You gotta dog him a couple letters for the security guy, betraying everybody. But I liked how this whole heist was kind of situated, right? There's a lot of people coming into town. There's a lot of intermixing, and then we slide our fake stormtroopers in. I thought this was really. I mean, it's just so cool. I thought everything about this episode was correct, which is hard to do in a situation like this where you're not looking at the first train robbery ever filmed. You know what I mean? This isn't the first bankroll robbery that's ever been put to film. So, this is something where you can end up with a lot of tropes and you can end up with a lot of trite stuff.
Yeah, right.
And I think this felt as good of a commando story as I think you can get in Star Wars. And I think 2 years ago, that's what I asked him to do. So thank you, the mouse.
And here they are.
Finally listened, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of tropes, I mean, so many times where they could have had Cassian just tie Skeen up, and said, okay, you're such a bad guy, that could just be a straight Disney way of, okay, we're not going to off the guy, but he learned his lesson. But no, we're getting Tony Gilroy, the Gilroy brothers, the Gilroy boys, who did Rogue One, and props to Kathleen Kennedy and Disney for trusting these guys again to not have a happy ending, to leading us to a point where we're seeing the stakes in real time, because the Empire is what it is. You're going to have to have this big conglomerate thing to rule the galaxy and everything, to take over. You're going to have casualties. So this is the result, and people are going to sacrifice themselves and sacrifice other people to do that. So props to them for not having just having I guess the balls or whatever to trust the writers to do this.
Yeah, those are good points.
Yeah, definitely.
It was a point where you really saw them scramble. You saw how the rebellion can get under their skin very easily, because, I mean, face it, they weren't like you said, Steel City. This wasn't a big mark for the Empire. This was just some little base that is doing some maybe mediocre mining or development of some technology or something. It wasn't very well staffed. There weren't any stormtroopers. there was like basically maybe Naval Academy rejects down there supporting. Not a whole lot going on. It also sounded like they were looking for future help from the people of the planet to come and work for them. So they were going to enslave all these folks basically and have them do whatever, mine whatever materials were on the planet. So this wasn't a big mark. This wasn't a big hit for the Empire, but it was enough to get notoriety, and it made the news. And once you make the news, whether it's good or bad, you get people talking. And I think that's the big point here is now these rebel scum are now in conversation. Like, no matter who you are, you're talking about them because they made this big hit on the Empire basically with nothing. And nobody knows the details. We don't know we lost half of them. And actually, we only lost three of them. I don't know what happened to the other, the girl. She walked off. I don't know. Yeah. She was watching the show, the Star show. I don't know if she melded back into the Empire and is able to now sort of, maybe she's now part of it, part of what happens afterwards now. I don't know, but it's just an interesting turn of events for the Empire, and I think that was important.
Yeah, the ending was pretty different than I expected. I mean, when they broke up the whole story, the fact that only a few of them got literally off planet, leads you to believe. I mean, they can't go back, right? So, what was the strategy, like you're saying, for the people stuck there? There's going to be inquests, and they're going to know that there were people there that weren't. So, where do they run to? Does somebody get them off world somehow? I mean, there's this payload that's worth, now we know, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars of credits. It was an interesting end to an episode. I didn't expect not everybody to get on the ship. I thought that somehow that the band would kind of get together and they would all at least blast off planet to regroup. And even at the ending there, as we see, I mean, Cassian's this guy now that's like, how do you join a rebellion where you can't trust anybody? He doesn't trust Vel. He didn't trust anybody. I mean, like, he's looking at her, and I mean, I guess we'll see in the next episode what her allegiance is. Is she truly innocent? Does she not know what happens? I mean, she had a pretty good poker face. If she's lying to him and she didn't know what happened, I mean, the way she screamed for him, it seemed like there was a little connection there, but you never know. I mean, it was an interesting end to an episode.
Will she even be in the next episode?
Right? Did he truly just leave, and take his portion of the payload, right? And
he gave her back the crystal.
Yeah, right.
But he said, "Give this back to your friend."
Right.
I don't want it. I don't want any part of this. Just forget my name is what I got from that. He was like, I don't know you. I don't want to be part of this. I'm done. I'm taking what's owed me and I'm leaving. So who do we know that said that?
The weird part about him though is, like, you think about it. If you do take he's taking whatever, a farm ship, and he's going to load up X amount of credits of his that he wants to take, or what he can load on there. Like, who do you sell this to? You know what I mean? Like, it has to be like a Watto or a Hondo or somebody, right? Because you can't sell this in the public. Now the Republic knows that there's payload missing. So then he has to go kind of into that black market to sell to a dealer or something. So it'll be interesting to see what Cassian's plan is, because he's already a target, and to move with something that's very Empire specific. Who do you sell it to? Another Rebel Alliance member, and will they pay for it? Like, you know what I mean? Where does he go from here? So I think that'll be an interesting back half to this series.
So you think he can't use the Imperial credits openly?
How could he? You ever see Goodfellas? Right? Yeah, Ken, you ever see Goodfellas?
Hundreds of times, but I mean,
all right. So Lufthansa heist. These guys all have so much money, they don't know what they're doing with, and they all start spending it. And what happens? That attracts attention. So what do? They got to tie up the loose ends. Now, obviously, Andor being essentially, alone here, maybe he feels like he can run off on his own, but he's going back to now an Imperial controlled space. And look, let's say, to use a conversion method that maybe people are familiar with in fiction. Let's say somebody stumbled upon a whole bunch of cocaine, right? Like a couple kilos of cocaine. It's worth something, but if you don't know how to get rid of it, can you actually use it? And if I said to you guys, hey, does anyone want to buy a half a kilo of cocaine for, like, you know what I mean? You'd notice that. You'd be like, whoa, I've never heard anything like that from that guy before. That's wild.
Snowfall. That is the exact same scenario is on that show.
You could meld it down. I mean, you could change the material. You could change the look of it. I mean, you could do whatever you wanted to do. Is this like are good everywhere right now?
Is this
right?
like, because I have this idea that like the Beskar stuff, right, is like species, like how we treat gold, right?
Yeah.
Like that, like the value is actually the thing.
Yeah.
But credits, it feels like something like
we
money.
Don't know, really.
Yeah, it's like a pawn shop. Yeah, he'd have to like pawn this stuff off, right?
Yeah, we don't know exactly what the temperament is for all this right now, because if you go to the right place, they might say, yeah, you're good. Here, give us one of these rectangles of gold and you can have this apartment for 2 years. No problem. And they might
I don't think he's risk. I don't think that's a good risk though. I mean, for a character, right? Would you do that and then the Empire, gets tipped off? I mean, you literally have to find, like as we're saying, that one person who you can trust. And as we see, this guy can't trust anybody.
No, he can't trust anybody.
So,
he just shoots.
yeah. And even in like we're saying, if he takes his farm ship, where does he go? The galaxy's patrolled by the Empire, right? Like it's kind of a bold move for him to just go off on his own. So will he end up going off on his own? He doesn't know space. Do we know of, right? I mean, he really hasn't traveled that we know of really much off world. So how do you navigate to get where you're going to go? Are you going back, trying to go back home? His mother is still alive, so to speak. So does he try to go back for her? Like so many stories that it just seems like, there's so much more, which I love. We can go into this character, and we're only 6 episodes in. We got the big payoff, which was the heist. I mean, I'm just excited to see where this back half takes us, because it literally, you're at that point where, like, what does he do? Like, where does he go?
Maybe that's it. Maybe he realizes at first he's like, I'm leaving. I'm cutting my losses. I'm going. But then he realizes, what am I doing with this stuff?
Right.
I can't use it.
Yeah.
I can't use it freely. I have to research who I'm going to talk to about it first.
And it comes to a point where if you can't really use something that was owed to you freely, it becomes irritating to actually do things. Mm-hmm. So you have to believe in something or do something other than than just accept credits just for do things just for jobs and stuff. So maybe start leading him towards to being more active in, like, the rebel type stuff and everything, because he can't do anything with his money, or else he'll attract attention. So might as well do something else good with it, to fight like the Empire and stuff.
One of Nemec's propositions here is that the rebellion should embrace mercenaries because the Empire doesn't have any sort of sense of morals whatsoever, and they can use the mercenaries to teach the Empire a lesson or something like that. But in reality, they should be hiring these mercenaries, because once you hire the mercenaries to fight against the Empire won't just be like, okay, cool, or you're not getting paid anymore, I guess we're done. That is not going to happen. They're going to just come after these guys. And, I had a science teacher one time who was making fun of, a certain particular subset of the political, spectrum, when he said, if they outlawed turtles, everybody that had a turtle would be an outlaw, right? You know what I'm saying here? Yeah, I guess follow me on this. Anyway, my thinking is,
I have a turtle. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, if they outlawed turtles, you'd be
a criminal.
So if you hire this mercenary to knock over this bank, right? It's not like the government's not going to come after them for the bank robbery. And what you've done is you've created an alliance of common convenience by creating a common enemy, because if the state is going to push them out of the, for instance, the regular credit market, they're going to have these underground connections, like we're saying here. And who's going to be existent that's going to have a whole mess of credits that they're willing to exchange for goods and services is the alliance. And so, the black market is going to get reestablished in a lot of places now on the backs of these credits. And that's something that we know Palpatine spent extra time to eliminate the criminal element or to subvert the criminal element so that he controlled all commerce in the galaxy. So this seed money, which, as we discussed last week, this is a common thing for revolutionaries to do, is to say, well, let's knock over, the method, the edifices of capital, because capital and the state have aligned themselves against the people. All right. So we knock over the money and we use the money to topple the government. That's the general revolutionary playbook as done by the Bolsheviks. So it's not dangerous. It's not, none of this is contemporary. It's just kind of how revolutions tend to progress. And one wonders what you can do with $80 million of credits. That's a lot of money. And if you are an organization that has, the ability to fund that money through your many, many contacts on lots of planets, I mean, you can buy a lot of friends for 80 million credits.
Yeah, that's a great point. Great point. So instead of things, you buy people.
And that's something we don't really know. Like, is 80 million credits a lot?
We're led to think that 30 grand is a lot. So I think that we should probably assume that the conversion is pretty close to dollars on a one-to-one basis now.
I mean, so what? $80 million is enough to fund a rebellion.
Well, the beginnings, remember, because I mean, I'm sure whatever Mon Mothma and Luthen is putting in is nowhere near this, right? So this is like
matching it. They're matching it somehow. Right?
Well, this is like their first big cash.
Okay.
This is their first big cash injection, I think, really into this rebellion, right? So this is the beginnings of it. Their revenue stream is drying up as far as being able to filter money from the government or wherever Mon Mothma is getting it. My understanding was I thought they were selling weapons and whatnot in order to like increase, people joining the Rebel Alliance and whatnot. But this was really, it seems like a money heist in order to fund this overall rebellion. So to put money in research and development, to buy, X-Wings and to start funding these things they want to do down the road. This was really, I think, kind of like that mission to begin the fund. Because they need to get funds from somewhere else. As Luthen said, the money's drying up. Mon Mothma, that stranglehold is coming on her funds. So I think this is really a way just to find a way to get money quickly and a lot of it.
Makes sense.
And to hurt the Empire, and to hurt their prestige, and to make all of the people that work for the Empire really, 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 really mad.
And publicity, right?
And publicity. And it's something that you can't hide, the fact that we didn't pay like half of our employees in the Imperial sector. Like half of the troops didn't get any pay last month. Like that's not something you're going to be able to keep from the old propaganda newsreel. So it really is, brilliant in its. If you thought the Empire was a legitimate state, which we don't, since we know it's a artifice of the Sith, so we know it is literally pure evil. But we would say they were attacking the legitimacy of the state, right? Which again, I think we're all fine with because the Empire stinks. But that's what they're doing.
I wonder what Palpatine is going to send Darth Vader to. When is this going to get to the point where Darth Vader gets involved?
And that's the thing. Like right now, I mean, Darth Vader is Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Right now, and Tarkin is Tarkin. So there is this whole, like, my universe of Star Wars is already happening right now. It's already in existence, but we're not seeing it. We're not seeing how this is affecting that, or what are they thinking about this? Because right now, like I said, Darth Vader and Tarkin are in power. I mean, they are basically running the Empire, but we haven't seen them. The Emperor is also there, obviously. We're not seeing him either.
Yeah.
So what are they doing? How are they circling the wagons around all this? Do they even care? Or do they like this?
Yeah, I mean, you have to get reverberations and stuff. If a puddle happens, if you put a rock in a pond and everything, you're going to get reverberations, and it's going to filter back to them somehow. So, like I said, when is Darth Vader? When is this going to get so big that Darth Vader gets involved or whatever, or Palpatine thinks, okay, Vader is going to be involved? Like what we've seen in the comics, him dispatching Darth Vader to different sections to eliminate certain threats and everything.
Like we just read those. We just read Darth Vader was like he was his own insurgent. He
Right.
went and solved problems on his own as he saw fit.
As he saw fit. Right.
Right. So
Palpatine.
when does that happen? Are we going to get that in this series, or
I kind of hope not. Just because this is so grounded in what it is. I'm not saying that if they could figure out a way to do it, I'm all for it and everything. But I kind of like all like the mid-level management having to deal with like, you know, everything.
Yeah, mid-level. We're not getting the directors and the VPs involved. We're just going to let the scrubs deal with this right now.
I mean, yeah, I definitely had a different take on that that Congress scene than Ken did. The way I looked at it is when they saw their tablets, you know, it was kind of like news broke. So everybody's looking at their tablets. They're seeing this rebel attack. So now there's fear, right? Because these senators are from other planets. So they're like, we need to get our shit in line because a war is about to start. So all these people rush off because, as she said in there, like these people are harmless. So to my understanding, it seems like if they understand it's this new empire that's building isn't forgiving. And I mean, they can even go as far as, you know, a genocide on this planet, right? I mean, we talk about Darth Vader. He can literally go there and dispatch this people. They're already down to less than, you know, a tenth of what they were, you know, the last 10 years, right? So, you know, this could be a planet they blow up, you know, in the beginnings of the Death Star. There's all kind of reverberations that leads the Empire to seeing like, well, you know, if these people aren't going to listen, they're going to do something, right? So not only will it be the soldiers that were there, but it's going to be the people of that planet. I mean, this is where I think the ruthlessness starts of the Empire on their end. So we see the beginning of the rebellion. I think this is where, you know, Palpatine and as you say, Tarkin and everybody really starts ratcheting down. Like, hey, we're done letting these people manage our own stuff and kind of having our, you know, little assistant managers and whatnot in every location. We're taking over the umbrella of the whole thing because you just can't handle it. It seems like so. I think on both ends we're going to start to see things, the stakes tighten up.
We can even hear like not necessarily see like, you know, Vader and, you know, Palpatine in scenes or whatever, but we can hear like stories of them. I know you read like, you know, the song Ice and Fire Hitch. Remember Hard Home in the books wasn't in the books. It was only heard off screen or whatever. You know, it was just heard through stories and stuff. We actually got to see Hard Home on the on screen, you know, on the TV show Game of Thrones. This could be sort of like the same type of way where we're just hearing things, you know, adventures of Darth Vader from another commander's mouth, you know, from another you know, meeting or whatever, you know, and they're telling stories, you know, about what I guess what Vader has done on a certain end or whatever. So we're just getting like side stories from the mouths of the main characters from like mid-level management, if you want to call it. So I mean, it's a way to input it without necessarily seeing like, you know, our favorite villains. but yeah, this to me, you know, should just remain what it is.
So you don't think that the council scene started sort of like a I don't know, like a second guess? Like everyone now is like second guessing, like, whoa, what side of this are we on?
Yeah.
I think they're a little nervous, but I really think they left during her speech because of the like utter like shock, right, of what's going on. I think it was a news thing. I mean, because everybody looked down at their tablets, right, and they're like, "Oh, okay." Even Mon Mothma at the end did, and she kind of stuttered on her words, like, "It's happening. Oh, maybe I need to pivot this way." So, I'd be interested to see Palpatine as Palpatine, not Sidious, now address Congress saying like, "Hey, there was a rebel attack," and really play that the rebels are like
as
terrorists, right?
representative of Naboo.
Correct. Yeah.
Like,
And he really plays now these rebels to be like terrorists, not really like freedom fighters. So I'd like to see him spin it in a way that we need to now isolate these people and go after them.
That would be crazy if like we saw in like either the next episode or the one after, Palpatine as a chancellor from Naboo do that in front of the council, because that would be a huge tie-in to everything else that we're, you know, the whole Star Wars universe that we're sort of building on now. I mean, that would be huge.
You know, I think there's also another undercurrent to that scene, which is no one gives a shit about the Senate. And
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, we know that
No.
the Senate is like 5 years away from being completely abolished in the response of the response of the plans of the Death Star being stolen anyway in the lead up of the Battle of Yavin. So I think that one of the things that totalitarianism needs, and tyranny needs, is for people to be disinterested in politics because they don't feel that normal political methods are
working
drive
for them.
results.
Yeah.
Exactly, Ken. And I think that one of the things that Palpatine came to power sort of saying was the Senate is corrupt and the Senate is worthless. And if you don't put me in charge of the Senate, the feckless Senate will cause you to die because your security won't be set up right. I mean, you know, that's it's like a short thumbnail version of it. But I think that over time, the Empire has been successful. Why would anyone care about what the Senate's doing? And this happened in the Roman Empire too. After the Principate was initiated with Augustus, the Senate became less and less and less important. The offices of the Senate became more and more and more ceremonial until they were never done away with, but the usefulness of the Senate as a governing body was. So I think that there's another layer to it. I think you're right about, these people are getting all these notices about this attack, but they're already not there. It's already empty.
Right.
Because no one cares what Mon Mothma is doing in the Senate, because if they did, she wouldn't have to start a rebel alliance and be a traitor. Right. She wouldn't have to do that. She'd just go to the Senate and be like, we need to change this. And they'd vote on it and it would get changed.
Mm-hmm.
I think John Kennedy said
that power has been removed already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're not making the decisions anymore.
Sounds like democracy has been broken down.
Yeah. Or has it? Or was it on purpose, right? Like, was that actually the case? And it, that's an argument to be had based on historical context, I suppose. But usually what has happened is this has been some fabrication by a party that wants to assume control of the reins of government without any sort of opposition. So that's as neutrally as I can frame that. And I think I deserve some points for that.
I give that man a no prize.
But I mean, yeah, guys, it's tough to kind of end the discussion on it, because there was so much into this. Like, it's almost one of those ones to where, like, I didn't expect the heist to be done in 50 minutes, and he did it really well. I mean, I was thinking it was going to be like a cliffhanger two-parter, like, but I mean, yeah, they've got in there, they've done the business, we're on the back end of it now, and it's kind of like, the next quest, in a video game, Andor's completed the first quest, we're on to the next one now. So very interested to see how the back half of this first season works, because that was the big lead up, right? At the heist. So now that that's over with, there's kind of like that roller coaster, that crescendo of the episode, and there was the loss. So we already had that. And I don't even really think we hit the climax yet. So the way the kind of show's going, emotions are everywhere. Really excited to see where this part 2 of season 1, or the back half of season 1 goes. And once again, the runtime of these episodes, spot on. I mean, it's so good. It's crazy that they're ran in like 48 minutes, and you still like feel like it's like 15-20, right?
Yep.
I'm hoping that because when does Ahsoka come out? That sometime next year, right? I don't know if it's early or mid part of next year. I'm hoping that this is challenging the other Star Wars creators, to step their game up. If you want to call it that.
You calling out Book of Boba Fett?
I'm calling out Book of Boba Fett. I'm calling out Obi-Wan. Mandalorian.
Whoa! Kenobi was great.
This is the same guy. He's opening a can of worms. I'm not even going.
Whoa!
This is Mr. Marvel's coming out now. Here we go.
Kenobi was well done. Don't even go there. Book of Boba Fett, I'll have to say, even though he's my boy, like that's the character that I am drawn toward emotionally.
Okay.
The series was a little rough. When it takes another character to come in and like lift it up and save it, that's some effed up stuff, right there.
We had all had enough of Boba Fett by the time Mando showed up in that series. We were all just like, thank God, get away from Boba Fett. What about this random dude?
Yeah, I'll give you that. That's fine. But Kenobi, don't.
Well, here's a question for you guys, because this is
legit.
Here's a legit parallel as far as structure, because remember we had that episode of Kenobi where he fought Darth Vader, but it was sort of in the middle, and then
it was
that series did have like sort of a next episode that was like, you know, like kind of getting hung out to dry a little bit, where they had to sort of recapture. So we'll see. Well, I mean, we'll see where Andor goes next, but honestly, like, I mean, this was a really good heist that kind of ranks up there with all the really good heists of film. There's a whole lot of double crossing and recrossing and a lot of tension, and I mean, it really just well plotted, well written, well executed.
Just remember, Steel City, you belong here.
You know what the weird part about ending episode 6 is? You guys can clip me up for this. This will be the first time that I can honestly say they can shut this off at 6 and stop the season. The way this is written, like the way this is ended right there, you could have literally stopped that for season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what though? So you make a great point. That shows you how confident they were in the story that they were telling and the pace that they were telling. Like I think the other series, be it Marvel or Star Wars and everything, they sort of like displayed like a sort of hesitancy in their pacing for like, you know, the 6 episodes, where this knows it has like 24 episodes to go through. I can do whatever I want. You know, the girls are like, okay, you're giving me this plate to eat and do, you know, paint and everything, this canvas to paint on. So I'm gonna paste the first 3 like this. Okay, introduce a whole nother cast of characters in the second 3, and I can do whatever I want the rest or whatever. So you're seeing a confident storytelling technique for these, where I don't think it was there for like, you know, these you know, other series. I think Mandalorian has it to a degree because what's his name? David
Filoni?
Yeah, Filoni. He's already established like the lore and like the universe as far as that. So he could bring so many he's just such a great storyteller, period, you know. But the others, Andor was a great episode, this episode.
Right.
It was good. I'll circle back to that. I'm not going to piss anybody off tonight.
No. Don't do it.
Well, put it this way: when Ken says something that's not great, and I got this guy talking about, you know, Marvel, that's bad, bro. Bad look. When Ken is second guessing a Star Wars series, you know, you're getting better than a mouse.
Oh yeah, line shocker. Oh man,
right?
Okay.
Yeah, this is the first time we've heard that. You know, Ken. Honestly, that's the first time I've ever heard you say something.
Yeah,
like that. I was shocked to hear that. You know, you're kind of circling back now.
Yeah.
Well, because I was a little disappointed in the way it kind of ran. I didn't like the whole vibe. It got to a point I was like, okay, this is good. It's good, and then it just tanked, and it didn't get great again until we saw Mando building the Jedi Temple with these autonomous robots, and then it started to get better, and then I saw the jetpack battle, and I was like, okay, now we got Mandalorians with jetpacks flying through the air, and okay, that's good. But the whole Boba Fett story kind of lost its vibe. But they're bringing me back now, and don't mess with that Kenobi series, because that sucker is good. I mean, that I want to see more. I want to see more of Andor. I like this guy now. And tell you what, since I've watched Rogue One every day now, because I like this guy and I like where he's going to be. I don't know how he's going to get there from where he is now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how we're going to get Cassian to Rogue One Cassian right now, because right now he's off the rails. He doesn't have any ambition. He doesn't have any loyalty. But I like when we get to Rogue One, he's got the, you know, the general vest on, and like people are looking to him for guidance, and I like where that is, but I don't know where where that happens now with this series. So that's what I'm anticipating. That's what I like to see. That's what I want to see now.
Right. Well, yeah, guys. I mean, another great episode, and to be frank, I think this is our best episode reaction so far. So, shout out to the Gilroys for the content. Keep it up. We'll be here again next Wednesday, hopefully doing this and up in the stakes as just like Andor is. So, and until next week, guys, this is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.